Yeah, I mean, I had it against Okendo, and then my very
Yeah.
next fight was Carl Frampton, and that
Oh,
was
bro,
pretty much one of my biggest.
coming off that fight,
Yeah,
let's talk about that. That you would have beat anybody that night or that day. It was
because
actually daytime because we had
I
to
had
watch
that
it
chip
during
on
the
my
day.
shoulder. I had a chip on my shoulder, and that's all the motivation that I needed. And again, even now, I don't.
On the
My
road.
motivation. Yeah, and again, that's just who I am. I didn't care where the fight was. It was supposed to be in Belfast. Then the pandemic hit. Then it got moved to London. Then it got moved to Dubai. But I didn't care where it landed. I just needed to land inside of a ring to prove my point. And again,
Yeah, I
we all
heard
see how
that.
that turned out. So yeah, that's just how. Like again,
We could call this Teddy Atlas here in Las Vegas, Nevada. You heard from the champ himself, knocking out the competition.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm your host, Richard Ortiz of The Fighter's Voice, the only voice that matters. And I'm like our guest, Mr. Semperfi himself, Jamel, soon to be two-time world champion. And it's the Jamal Herring Show. Mr. Herring, welcome to The Fighter's Voice.
thank you, Rich, man. It's always good to speak to you, man.
Man, I'm watching you, man, and I'm thinking, okay, I know he has some left to get back in this ring, but I'm hearing you in the broadcast booth, my man. I mean, that's you're at home with that. That's just comes so natural to you.
Thank you. No, I enjoy. One thing, Top Rank and Sky Sports and ESPN for giving me the opportunity, but I enjoy it. And plus, Christina Pancho, she's a real easy person to work with, and is a great teacher. So we just feed up each other every time we get in that we get together.
Well, iron sharpens iron. I'm sure she goes off of your expertise too, because you're not just outside. You've been inside the ring as well, so you do offer that to the commentary.
Oh yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And again, that's what really got me back in the ring because when you up close on that table watching on the mat, everything inside the ring, it's like you just fall in love with the sport all over again, and you just get that itch.
I knew you would. Honestly, I did. And I'm thinking, okay, I think he made a premature decision. That just because I see a lot of fighters that they do that. And I think you still have a lot to offer the sport. You
Thank you.
took good care of yourself. You didn't punish your body. You never took a any beatings. You weren't involved in any wars or, hey, we got to go check on
Right,
Jermaine. I went to the hospital again. You taking care of
right.
your body. You're always in tip top shape, and kind of like the Bernard Hopkins era, or you can say, because he also took care of it, his lifestyle in and
Oh,
outside of the
absolutely.
ring.
And it's funny because when I remember early in my career, because at one point, when I was with Al Heyman, we used to fight a lot on Golden Boy cards when Al and Golden Boy worked jointly together at one point. And I remember always talking to Bernard, and Bernard would just always give me little things to remember about, just take care of how to take care of yourself and prolonging, what I'm saying, not only your career, but your body as well.
Yeah.
And Bernard still to this day takes care of his body down to the T. So again, it's little things like that that always stuck with me.
Well, hey, I say this a lot, a little bit too much sometimes, but iron sharpens iron, and it's not just working out together. It's advice, and us as men, we need to take good advice once it's given to us, and we need to offer good advice. And that comes with
Right.
maturity because everything's so competitive in this world. It's like people don't want to help anybody anymore. So when somebody's sincere, and when somebody has a promising career, and I think you have some fight left in you inside of those ropes, and I truly believe you can hold the world title once again.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And again, I'm just honored just to still be here, coherent. Still got my senses together, and again, I love the sport, and it's just a beautiful thing to still be in the sport, whether it's commentating or fighting. I just enjoy the sport of boxing.
I know you enjoy that white Corvette too. I think it's
Yeah,
beautiful, man.
thank you, thank you, Rich.
Yeah, I see that. I'm like, oh man. Did you know to this day I won't even test drive a Corvette? I won't, because it'll just mind
Why
mess with
not?
me all day. And I'm thinking, okay, I cannot drive a Corvette if I have a mortgage. But best believe when I pay my house off, I will be in a Corvette. A little gray on the side,
All
maybe,
right, I'm not
but
mad at
I
it.
got to
Take your
do that.
time. Take your time, then. I'm not mad at that. Take your time.
Yes, sir. Listen, man, and you just described right now Christina Apacher as also a teacher. I mean, when she's been on the
Yes.
show, one of the first things when I asked her, I said, "What do you want to accomplish in the sport?" And it's something that really stuck with me. And she said, "I want to be inducted into the Hall of Fame one day, not as a female broadcaster, but as a broadcaster."
Broadcaster.
And I remember that really stuck in my mind because I have a daughter, and I always tell her, when your time comes and you get married or whatever, you don't walk in front of anybody or behind anybody. You walk beside them because in relationships, it has to be 50-50. It just does.
Yes.
Whether you're
Absolutely.
giving financially or just that moral support. And when she said that, that broke all the boundaries. It really did. And, I never forget that part. And I hope that she will accomplish that. I think she's on her way to putting
Oh,
in
she
some
definitely
years
is.
and
She
then
definitely
one
is.
day being
She
called and
definitely
being
is.
inducted and wearing that jacket.
Oh yeah, she definitely is. She definitely is. She just she really loves what she does. You know what I mean? I mean, even like she'll call me up and make sure that I'm doing my own homework, or we'll actually come. It's like a team sport with us. We'll come up with a game plan, how we're gonna execute things, what we're gonna speak on, what we're gonna bring up when we're speaking on the topics. If she may forget something during the fighting meeting, I might bring it up, and she does the same for me. I may not. I may forget something that was said in the fighting meeting, and she'll give me the alley oop, and we'll just feel each other like that. And it's just great chemistry, and I think she's definitely on her way. And again, I hope to see her soon, someday, even on the main broadcast team with ESPN, because she's phenomenal.
I agree with you. I remember the very first time I had you on the show, I called you Jamal. And I got a text from Christina Potter. She goes, it's Jamel. So she texted me. And I go, oh, okay. So then I was able to fix it. So I didn't want to fix it right away. I want to make sure I say his first name. Let me say something where I say his
Right, right,
first and
yeah.
last name. And so I was able to, but that's just the type of person she is. She's a perfectionist
Oh
and
yeah,
she likes to
she
help
yeah,
people.
yeah. She's definitely on names, because there's at times I'm like, we get foreign fighters all the time, especially in Japan. It was like, ooh, how we pronounce this name, and she'll break it down, and it just flows, and like she's on it.
No, that's good because some people just have that gift naturally. And, some of these announcers, when they're able just not only to do that, but also speak in French or say something in Japanese, and they don't just say the name. And I'm thinking, oh my gosh, these guys are such
I think Jimmy
professionals.
Lennon's my favorite. I think he's my favorite. Jimmy Lennon Jr. is my favorite, 'cause it just rolls off the tongue with him. When every time he's in a foreign country, he just breaks it down so naturally. So I was pay attention closely to him as well, and I just like take bits and pieces from even like Jimmy Lennon. Like, man, like he just so fluent with
He's
with
smooth.
how he pronounces these names.
And you know what? The cool part about it is sometimes you don't even see him holding a card.
Yeah,
Every once in a while,
yeah,
he'll hold one, and just glance at it and then just go off because it's
yeah.
already here. And I'm like thinking, oh my
Exactly. He'll
gosh,
take a
that is
quick glance and
smooth.
then just. Yeah, right. Yeah, I'm glad you called that out, because I see the same thing. Like, man, he doesn't look at his cards. Like, it just boom. Like him and Michael Buffer.
Yeah, exactly. There's two things. Of a young ring announcer sees uh, Lennon, he's going to say to himself, okay, that's it. I don't want to be a ring announcer. Or make him work as hard as he can to be right there because he is just so smooth. He's been doing it for years, hasn't missed a beat, and he's smooth. And he has that swag about him, just that smoothness. And every once in a while, he'll get in there and engage with the fighters. I'm thinking, okay, where did that come from? I like that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, I think he just did what yesterday, the press conference for the Tim Zoo,
Yeah.
the Tim Zoo's upcoming card,
Yeah. Tim
against Keith
Zoo,
Thurman. So he was
Keith
he's
Thurman.
asking the questions now and everything. Yeah, he's asking the questions now and everything. And so I'm like, he's dipping in everything. You know what I mean?
Exactly. And what I noticed about him is he was asking those questions that kind of get underneath the skin to start a little bit of, back and forth. So he knew what to
Got to,
ask.
gotta sell it. Yeah, you gotta sell it. He's selling it, and they definitely sold that press conference. I'll tell you that right now. They definitely sold that one.
Oh yeah, a lot of people had said something about uh, Keith Thurman. Well, he said this and that, and I said, well, hey, a lot of Mexicans are flat-footed. They just choose to fight that way. I mean, they're not on their toes. De La Hoya was on his toes. You see Ryan somewhat, but he's still flat-footed for the most part. So he wasn't telling
Yeah,
any lies. It is what it is. Let's not make it bigger than what it is. If it motivates you, it is. Zoo was very classy and on his response, and That's just Keith Thurman. Remember, he said Manny
Yeah.
Pacquiao had little dinosaur arms. Remember? I mean, he just tries to get in your
Yeah, I
head.
remember
That's
that.
just
Yeah,
Keith
so I mean, I
Thurman.
remember that. Yeah, T-Rex arms, the T-Rex arms. So
Yeah,
we'll
exactly.
see how it goes. I mean, again, like it definitely got everybody interested in the fight now. I'll tell you that much.
Yeah. Well, now people want to see it for the fact to see if Zoo can shut him up. So what is he doing? He's
Right.
selling the fight. And if he has to sacrifice himself hey, he wants to make sure he gets those units from pay-per-view as well, brother.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I like the fact that, he is coming back and, the sport does miss him. I want to see what he has left into the sport. I think he does have a lot left. Remember, rest is good. There's nothing wrong with rest. People can say a layoff, but I like to call it rest.
No, I'm with you. I mean, rest is good. Again, like I said, he's jumping right back into the deep end of the pool with this one. So it's, I commend him for that. So it just, again, I just want to see what he does, how his body is moving up to the new division, because it is a new division for him. Majority of his career was at welterweight, if not his whole career is at welterweight at one point. And it's a good look. It should be a good outlook for him. And Tim Tszyu, he's motivated. He finally has, that name, or a name that he's been looking for, to really, I guess, like you say, start stepping out of his father's shadow, because again, he says he's his own man, and I respect that. And again, even the co-main event, Rollies and Cruz, they had some word of war in there with each other. So again, it just I think again, it's good for the sport of boxing when we have all these different platforms and cards. For me, I personally, I think it is when you have it just on when you have it just on one platform at times. Pretty much you see promoters to do whatever, but when you have to make competitive cards to be competitive with your other competing promoters, so I think it's a good thing that PBC is back in the mix of things, and let's see how it goes this year.
You got to sell the show. I mean, you got to be marketable. There's two sides to that. You want some good money. Well, then, hey, let's make that money come to you, and it's just by using
Yes,
your other gift, and that's your voice piece.
absolutely.
Listen, man, what do you make of Shakur Stevenson announcing his retirement? Is that the same retirement as Teofimo Lopez? Is that the same retirement as Tyson Fury? Back in the day, Sugar Ray Leonard, after Marvin Hagler says he retires, but we all knew exactly how long that would last.
Shakur loves the sport. He's not staying away. Shakur, he's just frustrated. He's just frustrated right now, and I get it. He's he got a lot of slack for his last outing. I understand that. And he just wants a marquee name to basically prove that his last fight, which is it. It was just a fight, and he's looking forward to move. He wants to move forward. So again, with this whole retirement thing, I think he just frustrated, and we all know like he's too much talent just to drop everything now and just walk away. No, it's too much talent. And let's be honest, boxing is a business. There's still money on the table to be made.
I
And
agree.
again, he's just frustrated. He wanted a Navarrete fight. Navarrete is potentially moving up to lightweight for fourth division to conquer, with the WBO at least. And it's another fight that he missed out on. He missed out on the fighting Kambosos. He missed out on fighting on Lomachenko. The Devin Haney thing fell apart. So again, I get it. He's a competitive guy. I personally know that, of course. But and one thing I will say, going in his last performance. Remember, before him and I fought, they basically say he had a lackluster performance on Nagathelia in Vegas. And then the next fight, even he surprised me when we fought. That was his next fight. When we fought after that performance, and he came back with a vengeance. So I think that's like he's in a similar situation now with that as well, where people didn't agree with his last fight, and then he wants to prove something, so he's going to come out with some dog in him, in my opinion, in the next fight. So, but he just wants a marquee name to do it against and to showcase that he really is good and great as he says.
I just think he had an off night. He fought when
Yeah, it
all eyes
happens.
were on him. There was so many names being thrown at him, and he didn't even, finish the fight that he had in front of him. All these names are being thrown at him. You got to remember, Teofimo came off 2 lackluster performances before he painted a
Right.
Picasso against Josh Taylor. And, everybody has those days. I think Regis.
I mean, yeah. I mean, I had it against Okendo, and then my very
Yeah.
next fight was Carl Frampton, and that
Oh,
was
bro,
pretty much one of my biggest.
coming off that fight. Let's talk about that. That you would have beat anybody that night. Or that day. It was
because
actually daytime because we had
I
to
had
watch
that
it
chip
during
on
the
my
day.
shoulder. I had a chip on my shoulder, and that's all the motivation that I needed. And again, even now, I don't.
On the
My
road.
motivation. Yeah, and and again, that's just who I am. I didn't care where the fight was. It was supposed to be in Belfast. Then the pandemic hit. Then it got moved to London. Then it got moved to Dubai. But I didn't care where it landed. I just needed to land inside of a ring to prove my point. And again,
Yeah, I
we all
heard
see how
that.
that turned out. So that's just how. Like again, after the fights in the past, and I'm pretty sure I know he's back in the gym because he announced it before the retirement thing. But again, I know he's back in the gym. I know how he is, and he just wants to prove himself again. So we'll see how he bounces back. He just wants a well enough name that people will respect him competing against, defending his title.
What's next for Jamel Herring?
Oh, for me, right now, I just spoke with Ludabella. More than likely, I'll be going overseas, possibly Australia, sometime in early April. Again, JC, we were just speaking on the phone. If anybody at Wildcard King, for those who don't know, what I'm talking about on Instagram and Twitter. But
Yeah.
yeah, right now I'm just staying busy. Like I want to prove that like staying busy is good for boxing. So my thing is I want to fight at least a minimum of 3 times this year. So right now, I was trying to again, like you mentioned just a few seconds ago, I was on the road when I fought Frampton. I was trying to go on the road against anybody that Eddie Hearn had available on his stable. Well, it was from Jordan Gill, but he's tied up now. Even down to Lee Wood, Warrington, when Josh Warrington and Joe Cordina, but all those guys are tied up. So I'm not going to sit around and wait. And so Lou said an opportunity came about headlining possibly in Australia
Nice.
sometime in the first week of April. And right now I'm just getting into that mode, that fight mode again, and just focusing on preparing for training camp in Las Vegas with my trainer Wayne McCullough. So we'll go from there, and
Pocket
the
rocket.
doors will open up after that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I remember, and I never really told you this because you said it one time on your own, and I never had a chance to tell him. But even now, when they showed old pictures of Kevin Kelly, I'm like, man, bro,
He
seriously,
calls me up all
I
the
mean,
time.
come on, you
He
can't get away
calls me
from
all
that.
the time. No, I can't get it from Kevin. He calls me all the time, especially like when I go to Vegas. He lives in Vegas now,
Yeah.
so and him and Wayne are very close friends. So again, Kevin calls me up all the time, and me and Kevin will speak on the phone for hours to catch up. But yeah, shout out to Kevin Kelly and the family. He wants to take a DNA test because of what you just said too. So Kevin's a
Yeah.
good guy.
Yeah. No, whenever I see him in Vegas in the fights, man, he's dressing fly, man. I was with it. He loves his
Yeah.
vest. He loves his glamour. And hey, man,
Yes.
he's proven it.
Yeah. Shout out to Kevin, man.
Hey, let's talk about the 140-pound division.
Okay.
All these fighters that are there, a lot of people are running to the division. We got Rolly and Isaac Cruz. Jose Ramirez still. He just signed with Golden Boy. He seems to be rejuvenated. Arnold Barboza is
Yeah.
waiting to try to get that title opportunity. Regis wants to become a 3-time world champion. It looks like Devin Haney and King Ryan are in negotiations now. Who cleans up
Yeah.
that division? What does that division
It's
need?
crazy. It's
And
crazy, Rich, because like just at one point in time, like I always tell people all the time, the boxing landscape changes every 6 months or so. Like just not too long ago, last year, everybody was talking about the lightweight division being
yeah,
one of the hottest divisions. Now everyone either moved up or or now starting the guys around the area starting to make their name, like Matias. He's making the name for himself
yeah,
up in the division, pretty much being labeled as one of the boogeymen because it's hard for him for anyone to mention his name. Let's be
yeah.
honest, it's very hard for and let alone sign a contract to face him. But all the champions, they're all talented in their own special way. Rolly knows how to sell a fight. He knows how to sell a fight. I mean,
Great
people
promoter.
can say whatever they want about his ladder in terms of talent, but he knows how to sell a fight, and he still can hit. He still can hit. I was actually looking forward to seeing if him and Ryan would have collided because they had history, so that would have been a good build up. Devin Haney surprised pretty much a lot of people, if not all of us, just the way he looked in his last outing against Regis,
He looks
who's a
superb.
very formidable fighter in his own right.
Yes.
Like you pointed out not too long ago as well, Teofimo what he did with my with my friend Josh Taylor. He really put on a show, and pretty much that's probably his best performance to date,
Yeah.
other than the Lomachenko fight. But in terms of recent memories, that's his best fight to date. So again, the division is very alive and well. Like you just mentioned, my good friend, both of them, Willie Arnold Barboza, he's still looking for a big matchup. Kenny Sims is looking for a big matchup. Jose Ramirez, my Olympic teammate, he still has that hunger to become a champion again. So I mean, you could do a ring round robin with these guys, and I'm pretty sure they'll all make for good fights. And there's probably other guys that we didn't mention, like the Jack Catteralls and
Yeah.
the Richardson Hitchens, and those guys are all coming up as well. And so there's a lot of names that, to make up for a lot of good matchups in this new year.
Hey, let's not overlook Jermaine Ortiz. I
Oh yeah,
mean,
that's my guy. Yeah, I mean JC, he actually helped get this fight done with Teofimo and Jermaine. He had a lot of input with Jermaine. I speak to Jermaine all the time. We fought, but again, I felt like if I could help him any way, get him where he wants to be at. We became good friends over the time since we fought. I text him all the time.
Jamel,
Hey,
you
Jermaine, just want
become
to say how
great
you
friends
doing?
with everybody that you fight. You
I'm
just
just that
do.
guy. Yeah, I'm just
You
I don't have
do.
anything bad to say about anybody. Like Teofimo, he came to my last fight in past November. Me and Tio actually hung out right afterwards. For the rest of we hung out that night. After my last victory, and we had a great. We shared a lot of good words with each other because a lot of people don't know. When he fought Josh Taylor, I pulled him to the side because at that point in time he was still going through whatever he was going through in
Yeah.
his personal life, and everybody was doubting him. Like we were saying earlier, they was doubting him. They was thinking that he didn't have it anymore, and he had a chip on his shoulder. And I said, "Hey man," I pulled him aside. Said, "Hey, at the end of the day, bro, you're a father now. You have something to fight for. Use that as your motivation. Use that as your motivation. Forget the doubters. You proved them wrong in that ring, but again, for the most part, use your son as your motivation." And you know, his manager, my man McWaters, he pulled me to the side and said, me and Tio never forgot that. This is after my last fight. I didn't know that. They pulled me to the side and said, Tio never forgot what you said to him before you fought Josh, and we're forever indebted to you, and that meant a lot to me because I was just speaking from the heart.
Yeah.
I didn't think nothing of it, but it must have hit him. And me and Tio, we've been locked in since then. Again, and he's fighting my other friend Jermaine. I wish them both the best of luck. I know they're both gonna put on a hell of a performance. But a lot of these guys, though, like I said, I came over a lot of them. Me and Josh Taylor, we fought each other in the amateurs. Back in London in
Yeah,
2011. So
you were
before the
heavier.
Olympics,
You were heavier.
yeah, exactly. So people forget I was a junior welterweight at one point in time. So again, a lot of these guys I come up with, again, for me, Rich, it's just boxing to me. Listen, but again, if you want to trade words, I can do it the best. I can do it the best of them, but I prefer just to sit back and just go to the beat of my own drum.
You know,
Again, like I said, another matter of fact, me and Jose, we were roommates in the Olympic trial, so that's how I met Jose Ramirez. Again, a
yeah,
lot of these guys,
yeah.
I either shared some time with these guys or fought these guys or whatever. But again, a lot of these guys, I've been cool with. Me and Jose, I never forget because Olympic trials was like he was a lightweight. He's a lightweight, and I was a junior welterweight. So like if I fought on a Monday, he fought on a Tuesday, and so on. And so like every time he will win, he'll come out the room. Oh, I won, and then I come out the room. Hey, I won tonight, and we were basically feeding off each other's energy. And that's how me and Jose had got close. And we was like, yeah, bro, I'm going to the finals too. You go to the finals? Oh, yeah, I'm going to the finals also. So, like, me and Jose always we travel the world together. Him and Rick, that's how I met Rick as well. I've known Rick since around that time as well. And, those guys always supported me. So I have never had anything bad to say about them. Even, so again, that's why I enjoy this sport because this sport it builds character and also for me it just forms good relationships and I believe relationships go a long way after we're all said and done and we all hung the gloves up. At least we can all sit down and talk about just everything we've been through coming up as fighters all together.
A couple things. Maybe you're not the person that I can ask, but I can ask you this: Is Rick a
Yeah,
better promoter or a better manager?
I think Rick, I think Rick's a hell of a promoter. I'll give him that. I'll give him that. And I know Rick. And there, like people, they don't. Everybody doesn't always agree with his methods and management. But when he puts on a show, he puts on a hell of a show. I mean, he did it. He did me a solid. Two times in Fresno alone. But I think those is like I think my two best ring walks. If you look at it, when I look at it now, came in Fresno. When I was bumped up on Jose's fight as a co-main event, he had all the Marines lined up for me,
Yeah,
and that was a big deal, and I appreciated that. Shout out, thanks to Rick. When I headlined against Lamont Roach, my first title defense, the Humvee, the stadium was filled. That was Rick. So I think Rick, if you would knock him as a manager, he damn sure makes up for a hell of a promoter.
let me ask you this. I don't know if it was exaggerated or not, but I never really asked you, and you just kind of chuckled. Rumor had it, when he brought you on the Humvee, that he actually wanted you to jump out of a plane and
I was going to mention
parachute
that.
into the
Yeah, he
ring.
actually. I was going to
Is that
mention.
true? How much of
He
that is
actually
true?
wanted. He actually was trying to do it. He actually wanted me to come up for a chopper in the middle of the field and go from there. But yeah, Rick was coming up with some ideas. I mean, he was really brainstorming. He wanted to make that a memorable moment, and he did that with the Humvee, and especially for my first title defense. So again, and I was actually the first fighter to fight in that park. So that was a big thing. So
That's
of
true.
course, shout out to Rick for that. But yeah, now when it comes down to every time I even like have a thought about fighting in California, I always call it Rick. Like, hey Rick, what can we do if I do bring this fight back to California? And he's always there. I mean, he's on speed dial.
That's good. That's good to know. We talked about these fighters who retired, and one that stood retired. I thought he retired a little too soon. I thought he still had some left in him. I think he still does, but now he's a podcaster now, and that's Showtime. My man. Gosh,
Man, Showtime,
brain
Sean
freeze,
Porter.
brain freeze right now. Sean Porter.
Yeah,
I thought he still
yeah.
had some left in him, but he stood his ground, stood retired, and he has a great show, the Porter Way.
Oh yeah, he definitely does, and he definitely has great input, and he's also a hell of a commentator.
Yes, he is.
Sean actually motivated me. I actually learned a lot from listening to Sean's commentating alone with my own commentating. So, and we actually got to commentate together on a Ring City card for NBC a couple of years back. So, again, I learned a lot from Sean. He's a good guy
Oh,
overall.
those were the
He's a good
fights at
guy,
Wild
good
Card, right?
podcast. I think this the one we did. Yeah, it was one of them was at Wild Card, but the one we did was at West Point Military Academy. So it was on the East Coast at that time, and we did a show out there.
And with I believe Curran Batia did some work there too.
Yeah, Curran, and then me and Curran just did the shot to Curran. Curran's
Yeah,
a hell of a guy. He's a hell of a good guy and a hell of a commentator. He's we had
professional.
fun. We did the last Ito fight. Me and Curran did, and he's a good guy, and he made it easy too. And we just fed up each other, and I hope to see him to get more opportunities and more calls and commentating.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to pick your brain a little bit. How does one prepare themselves? Okay, you prepare yourself through training camp as a fighter. How do you prepare yourself when you're commentating? And what's more challenging to you?
I think probably preparing for the training camp, and I would say this because when I prepare for commentating, I prepare for it as a fan of a fan of the sport. So I'm having fun. I'm having fun. I'm doing my tape studies. I actually get to be in the fighting room, fighting meetings with the fighters. So I get to speak one on one with them. Like I've done fighting meetings with guys like Lomachenko, and the list goes on. And I just get to pick these guys' brains. So when I'm picking their brains about how they conducted their camp or what they was, saying what were they learning or fixing on in the camp, it makes me think about my own career. Like, man, you know what? That makes sense, or that's actually a good thing to do while I'm in camp the next time around. So a lot of these guys, I just actually just sit there as a fan, and because I like to hear, you get to actually hear their story and how what they were going through and what they came from or what motivates them in that time in that moment, or when they had got the call for the fight. Again, Robesi Ramirez is his last fight. You know, Dave basically was saying it was his opponent, and I'm forgetting his name. And he's a good guy. He's a good guy. He beat Robesi, but he was saying when he got the phone call, he was basically getting ready to get in the shower, and he just got the call that to live out his dream of getting a world title fight, and he just broke down. So like those special moments, they mean something because I've been there. I've been there. So when you hear it from other people and what they've gone through, and they got the call for having their first world title experience, it means a lot. So again, it's just easier. It's easier for me
How hard
to also was saying that it's easy for me to relate to the fighters as well with commentating. So it makes my job easier when I'm calling the fight.
how hard or difficult is it to bite your tongue when you need and you know you should have made a point, but you didn't want to step on or interrupt? How do you handle that situation?
Um, it's actually hard at times. It's actually hard, but like I said with Christina, she makes it easier. Like she'll know I'm about to try to make up, but she'll catch it at times. She'll catch me or she'll save me. Or sometimes I might. I know a few times I almost say like a little. I guess I'm caught up in the fight. I'm like a fan. I might say the wrong word on live TV, and she'll catch it. Like so again, like it's like again when you have you just had. But when it's time like when you have to like do it with other people in the room, especially like say for instance we got Tim Bernardo, Mark Kriegel, Joe Test, and all these guys. You kind of learn when to cue in when you want to make your point. Also with those guys, because like Tim, you let Tim go, he can talk, he'll talk, but he has great questions. And so, but you know your mark when to either add on to what he said, or then when it's time for you to shoot your shot in and get your question. So it's all about timing, honestly, with that.
I like Tim because he's not afraid to go his own route. And Mark Kriegel doesn't always agree with you, which means he is not a
Yeah.
follower. He is a leader in his own right. So I like that. The fact that, you can imagine how boring it would be if everybody goes, oh, yeah, I remember the same thing. And the fact that they go
Yeah.
back and
Yeah.
forth and have different analogies about the sport, or they see something that you may not see, or they know how to be professional and not side with somebody
Right.
that they just interviewed at the same time or heard their sad story. Because a lot of times you can have a root for that underdog.
Oh yeah, and that's nothing. Like for me, I like to call it the way I see it. Even if the A side is messing up, I'm not going to sit there and make excuses or act like I didn't see something was going wrong here. And at the B side, or whatever you want to call it, the opponent, if he's doing something in there that's good and is working, I'm gonna give that guy that credit. I'm gonna give him his credit. And same thing also, I'm gonna criticize if he's making the same mistake over and over, but I'm gonna tell you why he's making the same mistake for the viewers to understand. Because I can speak boxing, but everybody doesn't speak boxing. So like you'll hear Christina at times. She'll tell me, "Okay, partner, break it down. Why he's doing this, or why they're doing this? What should they be doing?" And that's how we flow with each other. But yeah, for the most part, I just call it the way I see it, and I guess that's why I'm getting a lot of respect from the people that do get to see it, especially guys overseas that watching on Sky Sports, because I don't just root for the A side or the guy that's supposed to win. I'm not rooting for
Yeah.
anyone. I'm just breaking down the action because again, you guys at home are not blind. You guys see the same thing I'm seeing. Just my job to point out and to break it down what's going on in the ring at the time, whether it's your favorite fighter or not.
You know what? I agree with you. I mean, and one thing again that you offer is that experience that you have, and that cannot be ignored, and to see things before they happen, to predict things because you
Yeah.
already see a flaw or a habit that a certain fighter has. The show starts at 3 p.m. What time does Jamal Herring show up?
Oh, for me, I'm showing up. I show up a couple hours early because I like to even watch I like again. I'm a fan, so I want to watch maybe a younger talent that's not being showcased maybe on the Sky Sports side. But again, this is a guy I might see in the future, so why not get familiar with him now? For the most part, I just want to sit down and watch a good fight. So I'll sit there. I'll set my laptop up. I'll get my notes out, but at the same time, I'm watching the fights in front of me, and I'm just enjoying it like everyone else in the stands. I don't care if it's 10 people in the stands. I'm watching it. Yeah, I look at it. Hey, it's a free show. Why not enjoy it and just take it all in?
How much of the notes do you use, or does it just feel good because that's a safety net?
It's just a safety net. For the most part, I write notes for like things that I don't want to forget mentioning on the broadcast. So I'll take little bits and pieces. But again, I even got down to the point where I'll literally type out my whole tale of the tape intro and how I want to break it down and how I want to introduce the fighters to the world and what the pin like one thing Christina told me was always like pinpoint things that stand out. You don't gotta always break down every number. Pinpoint if the guy has a 7.5 reach advantage, point that out. If a guy, things of that nature, if the heavyweights, if the guy's almost 100 plus pounds heavier than and I mix it all in while I'm breaking it down the fight. He has an advantage over him by 4.5 inches of height. So look for him to use his physical attributes and his height in the height department. So I don't just do it the generic way. Oh, this guy's this guy's no. I don't. It's boring. So I try to put some excitement in it, but I always type it out and how I want to word it so I can get it done. Because there's always that small window when they have it on the screen and you got to get in. You got to get it in time before the announcer takes over.
I agree with you. You may not know, but I'm picking your brain right now. So those that are watching right now, hand in hand, a lesson from one of the best commentators in the sport of boxing, Jamel Herring. He just don't knock people out, but he will give you knockout commentary. And I do see that in your future. I do see you doing both, like Sugar Ray Leonard did when he was competing.
No, it's crazy because with the Christina, I have the same goal as her. Honestly, if I'm glad I'm still fighting, but if I don't get into it as a fighter, I definitely want to get into the Hall of Fame as for commentating because I enjoy it, and I take every opportunity that Top Rank and the guys over there at ESPN to give me to get better, to better myself. So because one day, I was asked a while ago, where do I see myself in 5 years? I said, listen, in 3 years, I see myself as doing commentating, full time with the big guy. So I want to really perfect my craft with that now as much as I possibly can.
Well, shoot. I mean, hey, you get one life, man. Life is too short. Me and you may do a fight together, Jamel.
Absolutely. Hey, I'm all for it. I'm all for it. Again, I want to get there. I'm like, hey, I want to do one with my good friend Rich over. We need to get on put us together on one of these cards. So again, yeah, I mean, it just when you love the sport, it just again comes easy. It comes naturally. It comes natural. It's not easy because again, a lot of us put in the hard work, especially like women like Christina. Because Christina's job is harder than mine. She has to if you really listen to her, she has to pinpoint or what about the fighter, their history, their past fights, what happened in this fight and that fight. My job basically as the as the boxing analyst, I'm just analyzing what's in front of me now. Christina, she goes over notes from fights from 3 years ago that probably stood out. I'm like, man, and she has her notes in detail for detail. So her job, her job is a lot harder. And like people don't understand sometimes, it's not just commentating. Everyone has a role that they play. If you look at Bernardo and you look at Tim, Bernardo has a role and Tim has his role, and Tim breaks it down what's going in the ring, and you see Bernardo the same thing. Bernardo is breaking down, the fighter's history, their motivations, what was said in the fighting meetings, and so on. So Bernardo, those guys, they have a real hard job.
Bernardo is, my gosh, he's just one of the most everybody prepares himself. Every fighter prepares himself to walk in the ring. Bernardo, he just has his own script and his own agenda when it comes to preparation. He just don't know his lines. He knows everybody else's lines just in case.
Yeah. Again, I love that whole team. The whole team, all those guys are great.
That's a great team.
I even pick off Tim when Andre Ward was over there as well. Andre Ward told me a lot as well. Andre Ward was always get on me about where's your notes. I'm like notes. I'm just. But then Andre started I started jotting down notes more and more thanks to Andre Ward. So again, I learned a lot from all those guys over there with the team.
Speaking of Andre Ward, shout out to Andre Ward, man. Just picked it up for Chris. I haven't opened it up yet, but we're going to make sure that this is one of the books to get. It comes from the heart. It was some years in collaboration. If you watch the story itself, but there's nothing like reading, identifying, and being a part of it. And, ask that question. Ask that question, I mean, yeah, killing the image. And, in the back, what if I die? I mean, we're not promised tomorrow. And to put those words and to put everything's heart and soul into something as he did in the ring, man, this is definitely going to be one of the best sellers. And if you kind of look at R&B singer back in the day, he's kind of looking like Al.B. Shore a little bit, isn't he? A little bit. Al.B. Shore.
Yeah.
Andre Ward. Andre Ward. Hey, did you know? Let me tell you this. This is kind of my pat on the shoulder. I'm watching the Andre Ward documentary, and it was on Showtime. True story. I'm laying down on the bed. I'm listening to it because I'm visualizing all these interviews and everything. And all of a sudden, true story now, Jamel, I hear this one interview, and I just pop up. I go, what was that? I go, did I play something? Did I hear something? I go, can you rewind that? What they did is they used one of my interviews when I interviewed Golovkin. No, not Golovkin. Kovalov.
Cool. Yeah.
Yes. And what they did is Showtime, they cut you see my chin and my nose. So but they used my question when he says, I will use everything in my arsenal to defeat Andre Ward. But it's me. I asked that question. And so I'm thinking like,
Right,
wow, that was
right.
kind of
You
cool.
made- you made-
They
you
could have
made a
used
small-
anybody's question,
you made a
Jamel.
small cameo.
Anybody in the world. They used Richard Ortiz's from the Fighter's Voice question.
That is true.
They didn't give me no screen time.
That's,
But
yes, yeah.
let me ask the question, but he was able to answer it. So that was kind of cool. So now when you
That's
watch
good.
it, you're going to say,
That's cool.
oh, yeah,
That's cool.
that's my buddy Rich right there.
No, it's crazy. I made a small cameo in Oscar De La Hoya's documentary. It's like it's a scene when they talk about him promoting, and they have if you look closely, there's they use a picture from that when I fought in DC, and if you look, I have the Marine Corps colors on my trunks. That's I could pull the picture because I have the picture, but they it was cool that they used that picture. I'm like, oh, they used that picture when I fought in DC under the Golden Boy banner, and I had on golden. I had Marine Corps colors, gold and red.
There you go.
In the short clip. So yeah, again, I thought that was cool too.
I'm gonna have to send you that clip. I'm gonna have to send you that too, because
Yeah.
I always tell a lot of people. I mean, when I used to write for the paper, a journalist from Madera Tribune in my hometown, I used to tell them the things that I used to do and things used to happen, and I tell them I don't blame you. I wouldn't believe me either. I mean, back in the day, man, sneaking into fights, back in the day, just sliding in there with the fighters, whatever it took just to get that story, and driving down to Las Vegas for one day for just 4 hours. Went there to go see Hector Camacho and Julio Cesar Chavez train, and then got in the car and head back. And sleeping in the parking lots. We couldn't get a room, so we dive in the Caesar's Palace pool, smelling like chlorine, but at least we were fresh. And I just wanted to get a glimpse of Riddick Bowe and Evander Holyfield of the rematch. I got to see the patent Tommy Hearns right hand in training, and just to be a part of that. That's how hungry I was for it. And now to do what I'm doing, it's in interview some of these guys now that I grew up idolizing on TV, and you being one of them. And yeah, man, it's just Ali Setback told me, because Richard, you do what you love, you never work a day in your life.
Exactly. It's a blessing.
But I got stories to tell. I know you got mean stories to tell. I know you and Jose had some conversations in that room. I mean, you got some great boxing stories.
Yeah.
When's your book coming out? When's the Jamel Herring Show book coming out?
I gotta make another one. I did one, The Fighting Marine, but I don't think enough was told in that one. So again, and then you see me now. I'm still living it. So there's much more to speak about. But I've been approached about movies and everything. So again, but I always felt like
I can see that
there's still more to me that I want to get out. So again, I'm just creating it every day, still creating the chapters every single day.
You're enjoying life right now. I see you. I can see that you're very happy. You're in a good place right now.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm just grateful. It's grateful to be here, healthy. Again, I have great people around me. Have a great family. So I can't complain. And I get to get up every day and do what I love. So I'm happy.
Well, I remember you were making some of those videos, man, and then you stopped making them. You were making those little videos for a while. And some of them were great. I mean,
I always get told I need to get back on it, but I'm gonna get back to it. I just got to come up with content ideas. That's my only flaw. I got to come up with the content idea, but I'll get back to it. Because I like showing people this different side of me. Like I'm human. Like I'm not just that guy who gets in the ring. I like to have fun. I like to joke around. I like to laugh at people. I like to speak with everyone out there who if like again, you show me some love, I'll give you love back in return. That's just
That's
how I
right.
am.
That's right. No, no, absolutely. I mean, you've been more than a class act, man. I mean, both you and Sean Gibbons have done so much for me personally, and to keep my son's legacy alive, and that means a lot. It really does. I couldn't put a
Respect.
number on that. I couldn't put sometimes I'm speechless. Just out of the blue, and I'll get something, and it's just like, wow. I mean,
Yeah, it's funny. Yeah, I mean, out of respect for you and your entire family, I was like, I was packed. I was packed. My fighter's voice shirt in training camp.
that's
You
right.
best believe it's already it's already on standby in the suitcase. But I always pack it. I always pack it
I
up.
got to get you some more, man.
Get it
Got
in
to get
with
you that
Wayne.
hoodie
And
too.
just, hey, got my shirt on. The thumbs up. You know what I mean? Hey,
Absolutely.
let's go to work. Let's go to
Yeah,
work.
exactly. We'll make that happen. No, I know. I like that shirt too. Anything else you want to cover, man? Any other shout outs or nothing? I just had to have you back on the show, man. We just did, I miss rapping to you all the
Oh no.
time. And when you're on here, it's just, I mean, we can go on forever, but right now the
Oh yeah,
platform's
absolutely.
yours.
Because you know why? Because we're not doing interviews. We're actually speaking about what we love, and it just flows naturally. That's what I was like. Hey, when you hit me, hit me man, any time of the day.
Yeah.
East Coast, West Coast. I'm like, all right, Rich. Hey, what's up, Rich? Hey, everything's good, my man. Hey, how's the family over there?
Yep.
And then we'll keep from there. But for me, I just like I said, I'm grateful for the platform, man. Anytime I get to basically get on the platform, and like I said, I love what you guys do, and because I get to share not only what I'm doing now, but what my future plans. And again, I think it's great, having individuals like yourself in the sport of boxing. Not biased, straight shooter, and makes it a friendly, comfortable environment. So I never have an issue coming on here. But again, anyone who wants to reach out to me, of course, is at Jamel Herring. Also, I gotta give a shout out to give a shout out to guys like Lamont Roach because and I said it because of this. He after we fought, it was never any bad blood, and he had to basically work his way back up the ladder to
Yeah.
get his title shot. He won his title shot, and the first thing he really said was he wants to run it back and have a rematch. And that's what I brought up when we fought in Fresno. That was my first defense when we fought in Fresno. But I give him that respect because I came back because I thought at one point in time I was going to end up fighting Joe Cordina. Because we both thought that if you look, our last fights were around the same time, and he mentioned about fighting, but Lamont Roach is pretty much the only guy that's even now that's willing to give me an opportunity because he said, I gave him an opportunity, but even though he actually earned his opportunity respectfully because he was my mandatory and number one contender at the time. But again, he still showed that same line of respect and say, hey, if I can, I'll fight Jamel again. And of course he wants to get some get back because he's competitive, and I understand that. But again, I still hold that to a high regard because a lot of guys you see in boxing, they won't mention you or they just act like you don't exist. So at least he's well aware that I'm back in the sport and he's willing to to fight me again if the opportunity comes about. But hopefully, like I said, I got to take care of business first in April, and we'll see what happens from there. But hopefully it'll be a nice, good summer because again, I want to fight again by summertime and maybe one more time or whatever by fall or spring. I just want to stay busy and active.
Oh, he's thinking about you. That's all there is to it. If he's as competitive as you are to this day,
Yeah,
I'll talk to Jose about different opponents. He'll mention opponents, but it always comes back to when me and Josh Taylor fight again. It always comes back to that. But he's moving on. He wants to do other things. But
it's out here.
and yeah, there it is there. So he's thinking about you. Just make sure you're 100% you're ready. And I know you will be. You always come to fight. You always make weight. You always have a great training camp. And hey, 2-time world champion, Mr. Simplified Jamel Herring.
Absolutely,
That has a great ring to it.
absolutely. Yes, it does.
Well,
Sky's
man,
the
it's
limit,
always a
and I'm
pleasure
shooting for
having
it.
you, man. I mean, like you said, two guys in the garage drinking a cold one, talking boxing. That's how I feel. I was about to say we do have a smooth delivery and a smooth flow, and I was getting text messages right now and people saying, "Man, it's just that we're able just to hit it off and collaborate together, and there's
Absolutely.
chemistry there."
Yeah,
So,
great.
like I
Yeah,
said, one day we'll put the
yeah.
headsets on together, my man.
No, I'm with. Hey, I see it. I see it happening. I see it happening.
All right. Well, I see it with you. Hey, ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank our guests, Jamel Herring, who's chasing title number 2 to become a 2-time world champion, promises to be busy in the year 2024. Good things are coming ahead. Look for a title shot before the end of the year. Remember, every fighter has a voice, and so do you. As always, it's a wrap. Thumbs up for Richie.
Okay, fight fans, it's not goodbye, but until next week. Remember, it's always voiceography at its finest. So on behalf of Richard Ortiz, the special guests, and all the crew, saying hasta luego, babies. And always, thanks for listening.